Before we turn pro, our life is dominated by fear and resistance. We live in a state of denial. We're denying the voice in our heads. We're denying our calling. We're denying who we really are. We're fleeing from our fear into an addiction or a shadow career. What changes when we turn pro is we stop fleeing. Life gets very simple when you turn pro. What happens when we turn pro is we finally listen to that still, small voice inside our heads. At last, we find the courage to identify the secret dream or love or bliss that we have known all along was our passion, our calling, our destiny. The amateur lacks compassion for himself. In his heart, the amateur knows he's hiding. He knows he was meant for better things. He knows he has turned away from his higher nature. If the amateur had empathy for himself, he could look in the mirror and not hate what he sees. Achieving this compassion is the first powerful step toward moving from being an amateur to being a pro. Resistance wants to keep us shallow and unfocused. So it makes the superficial and the vain intoxicating. Resistance hates two qualities above all others: concentration and depth. Why? Because when we work with focus and we work deep, we succeed. Addiction itself is excruciatingly boring. It's boring because it's predictable. The lies, the evasions, the transparent self-justifications and self-exonerations. But the addict himself is often a colorful and fascinating person. The shadow life is the life of the amateur. In the shadow life, we pursue false objects and act upon inverted ambitions. The shadow life, the life of the amateur and the addict, is not benign. The longer we cleave to this life, the farther we drift from our true purpose, and the harder it becomes for us to rally the courage to get back. In the shadow life, we live in denial and we act by addiction. We pursue callings that take us nowhere and permit ourselves to be controlled by compulsions that we cannot understand or are not aware of, and whose outcomes serve only to keep us caged, unconscious, and going nowhere. Sometimes, when we're terrified of embracing our true calling, we'll pursue a shadow calling instead. That shadow career is a metaphor for our real career. Its shape is similar. Its contours feel tantalizingly the same. But a shadow career entails no real risk. If we fail at a shadow career, the consequences are meaningless to us. What we get when we turn pro is we find our power. We find our will and our voice, and we find our self-respect. We become who we always were but had, until then, been afraid to embrace and to live out. The professional lives in the present. The amateur spends his time in the past and the future. He permits himself to fear and to hope. The professional has taught himself to banish these distractions. How your day changes when you turn pro. When we turn pro, everything becomes simple. Our aim centers on the ordering of our days in such a way that we overcome the fears that have paralyzed us in the past. We now structure our hours not to flee from fear, but to confront it and overcome it. We plan our activities in order to accomplish an aim, and we bring our will to bear so that we stick to this resolution. When we turn pro, we stop running from our fears. We turn around and face them.